Hello everybody. Today, that previous indicator of rot and everything else, I have ripped out some posts already. Forgot to bring the camera yesterday, but overall, what we're looking at is a lot of rot. And switch that to the front now. As you can see, there has been some termite damage as well as rot damage. Somebody has come through and done previous repairs, but in all reality, that has compromised the structure and not actually fixed anything. More like a band-aid. As you can see here, most of this is pretty rotten and pretty deep in. So I'm working from the good side across just to make sure that there's no shake in the structure once I get started. And the game plan there is that nothing should be moving around once these other areas are ready and prepared. So I'm hoping to try and get to these first 3 posts, and then the next time I can get here, I want to get to the other 3 posts on the other side. And yeah, be a little bit more confident in the structure by then. I don't think it's going to fall, but at the same time, these little brackets at the top here are probably countering a lot of shift in the structure right now. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit of fun. I'll show you a little bit of clips as things come up and go from there. Hope you enjoy. Okay, so the first post is now in after dressing, prepping, using a Simpson ABA plate at the bottom, and using this honestly piece of garbage fur that was not close to straight but will work, and apparently just enough to do the job. So as well, I was able to target it with that, made all my marks above, cross-reference to the other existing posts, which I'm about to start taking those next 1 or 2 out at this point. And I'm just going to knock in some hanger nails at the base for this one. I've knocked in some screws on the side up top there for temporary use as I get the appropriate plate to anchor in at the top, and just knock in some commons into the beam above. Now, the reason I'm using a 6x6 treated here is not obvious, but there has been termite damage. So hemlock is fairly resistant when it comes down to critters. It's cheaper than cedar, but also the treating compound is also quite toxic, so it can help minimize the amount of impact from pests trying to eat or destroy anything within the wood. So compared to the fir that was here before that was buried in a 3-ply 2x6, which unfortunately, because of the wet damage, because it was directly on concrete with only a thin layer protecting it, led to a lot of problems for it not being sufficiently protected. So the metal plate that's down there actually rises it by 1 inch. I'm also going to dress the post with a tar paper, which most people wouldn't probably bother at this point, but it's something that I feel is necessary. And also the benefits of going with the 6x6 treated, I was able to trim in at the bottom of the post to allow for the ABA plate to come up without it needing too much clean out for the actual finished material at the bottom, so that way I can keep it relatively intact and minimize the amount of priming and prepping that I have to do. So 1 second. So one thing I figured I'd address, the reason why the posts are completely coming out is that they're rotten. But the reason why I'm going with a much larger post is so that way I can keep the original railings and the original detail work that was at the top here with 2x2 and 2x4. Pretty much all of this is Douglas fir, which is really good material, especially since it was probably first growth rather than second growth, and it all has weathered really quite well and stayed nicely. So all I have to do is just lop off some of the ends. Now at the bottoms, some of these, half of them are rotten, so I'm going to have to cut them out and replace them, which isn't that big of a deal. But the owner really loves these old balusters for the railing, and she wants to keep them, even though that they're old and everything else. It's just going to cost way too much in comparison to go buy new for all of this, and especially to find something that is going to be as durable as what these old fir ones are. In comparison, it's going to be a lot harder. So That's why I opted label it all, place it off to the side, install larger posts, which means a larger surround, which means a larger finish. Now, another thing that I found while working here so far has been that tar paper, so water protection, was not continuous in this area. Them having termites and other issues previously, they have had it treated, they've had it looked at, and presently it is just a matter of containing water and making sure that whatever can no longer affect the property is continued in the aspect of the finish here. So today I'll get to a third post. The rest of this I'll take down the detail work today too, and then I'll be back when possible. So now for the meaty portion. This is what the bottoms of one of the better of the rotten posts look like. It was patched at one point by somebody else, but it largely is eaten away and deteriorated. So there's maybe 1.5 inches by about 4 inches that was actually supporting anything. Okay, so end of the day, cleaned up the rest of it and made sure that the 2 worst posts are supported for the week ahead, just in case there is some shifts and some movements. This one I'm not too worried about and is probably holding some weight, and this one is not the worst, but we've got 3 done for just the post replacement, and then hopefully start doing the dressing next week. Hope that was exciting. There, hope that's better.